Hello, my Teaserking family. Oh, good. I got the volume. How's everybody today? I'm doing okay. Already done with my swim. Take my picture for Daria. So, I was listening to Michael Pinto yesterday. I don't like him. And my conclusion is he's madoff. And then my conclusion was we have a lot of madoffs out there. In fact, most of these guys that we're listening to, Andy Scheckman, Peter Schiff, Rick Rule, are basically madoffs. They're all scammers. None of them knows what's going on because I know what's going on. And so Michael Pinto yesterday was talking about money. He doesn't like Bitcoin, one good thing, but he doesn't like gold. He doesn't understand gold. And so in my mind, I looked him up. I Googled Michael Pinto. He's a billionaire. He's a stock market guy. He's a good talker, but he doesn't. And my immediate thought was this guy's Bernie Madoff, scamming all these people, runs some sort of fund, but he doesn't understand. He's stolen money. So nobody understands the money is already worthless. Nobody does. They're all incredibly stupid. They don't get what that money's gone. They don't get the $35 trillion debt and $1 trillion every 3 months of interest. And they're printing all this money. And they don't get that. They don't get the 130 million outside of the U.S. that as people realize the U.S. is no longer solvent, the stock market's everything's going to crash because they're going to pull their money out. And none of these guys get it. We're the only ones that seem to get this conclusion from Mark McGuire and Alligator and Egon, right? I listen to them, I get them. All right, sometimes I don't agree with Alligator. I usually agree with Egon 99% of the time. Mark McGuire's hit or miss. He's probably like 75% of the time because he keeps using these stupid terms. So I was listening to this other guy, Kranzer, and he's talking about paper gold. He was trying to explain why gold had went up and then what was going on down. And he says the bullion banks are still shorting it. Now, I thought we were done with COMEX per Mark McGuire, but apparently there's a little bit left. We'll be done as soon as there's no more gold because they can't just short it without the gold. So that's why we're seeing a little bit of a pullback in gold and silver. So let's get to that. Let's see our daily gold and silver. And let's see, we got gold at 2162, down 13. Again, it's derivatives from the bullion banks trying to keep the price down. I mean, what the fuck? And silver's 24.83. We did see it hit 25.05 yesterday. So it did go over 25, but it's staying at 24. So, okay, we'll see what happens. So gold got to 21.73, went down to 21.54 at that 10, 11 o'clock time. and now it's creeping back up to 2161. Again, that's paper gold. As we know, it's derivatives, betting it, pushing it down. And let's see. So when Mark McGuire says it's over and they're going to Bitcoin, pretty much. So this guy I was listening to today, this Dave Kranzer, another, I don't know, another stock guy. He likes the gold stocks, Luke. So he's sitting there, and everybody, even this Pinto, nobody agrees with Bitcoin, right? They all know it's speculation. And to me, it's like a stock, right? It's the same thing as a penny stock. I'll get rich off of it. Yeah, okay. What do they make? Nothing. It's interesting. I was listening to some guy this morning, and this guy had the nerve to say, this is a real Madoff. So I was some guy saying, all right, where's this guy? So this guy, Larry Lepard, run and run fast from this idiot. Bitcoin price going to multi-million per coin. Don't sell at 100 grand. All right, well, it ain't at 100 grand. So I listened to him a little bit. This guy's out of his fucking mind. And this guy's made off perfectly. He's just clueless about it. He called it money. Let me see if I can find that. He thinks government's in bed with banks. No, the banks run the government. I mean, this is the problem we have. We already know this, and this guy's like trying to say it. Where is that? Okay. This guy's an investment manager. Let's see. He thinks the ETF's a good thing. He doesn't know Larry Fink. Let's see.
But it's clearly those kinds of things they start with a letter and then they come with a reserve proclamation that this is what we're going to do. And they did it in 2020. And they did it in 2020 because at that point in time they needed to do it because the debt, they were having a hard time selling the debt then as well. So to me it's a big deal, and I'm not sure the market's fully absorbed it. Although, you could also argue maybe the market has absorbed it because the two sound money assets, gold and Bitcoin, are both at record highs, or very close to. Gold's backing off a bit today.
Did we catch that? The two sound money, gold and Bitcoin. Excuse me. When did Bitcoin become sound money? In what world do we live in that Bitcoin sound money? Again, money, medium of exchange. Value depends on judgment. Markets decides money is marketable and valuable. Money functions medium of exchange. It's not. Store of purchasing power. It's not. In unit of account. Do you make money or lose money on it? Is it portable? Not really. It's a computer thing. Is it scarce? No. Divisible for small exchanges? I have no idea. Is it fungible? The same, replaceable? Is it accepted and is it durable? It's not durable and it's not accepted. You cannot go and buy a car, buy a house, go to the grocery store with Bitcoin. How the fuck is it money? This is the problem with these madoffs, right? It's digital gold. It's money. Where in God's name is it money? It's not money. So when I hear this guy, and this guy's like, don't sell it, it's going to keep going. And I don't want to waste a lot of time on Bitcoin, as you know how much I love it, but it ain't happening. This is the guy, Dave Kranzler, who does call it paper. He understands it fairly well. He's saying the derivatives, the gold bullion banks are trying to keep the price down, but he doesn't see it lasting. I don't know I think it's just the central banks, China, Russia, and India driving the price up. Hey, very good, John. So I see it happening. He gets more into the stocks. He's more of like a stock guy, like a gold stock guy. Now he doesn't understand when the dollar collapses and everybody gets out of the dollar, the stock market won't be here. So he's saying buy these gold stocks or whatever. Well, he doesn't. What are you talking about? There's no point in it. There won't be a stock market. There won't be a Shire Pippin. So this is the problem. He doesn't really understand there's a good Stoic one, as long as I'm here. The Stoic Guide to Handling Toxic People. I started to watch that, but I went to the economic ones first. So we will see about that. That's, for us Stoic people. So for us economics, so this is why they're madoffs. This Michael Penno does not understand inflation. The biggest problem is they don't understand the dollar's worthless. They miss that whole concept. I'll be in dollars, put your money in dollars and wait for these things to drop and then buy it with the dollars. Well, the dollar has no value. You can't wait for it to do it. That's why you should be in gold and silver. I'm so moody, TK. Okay. So he doesn't, he's kind of pompous. He's one of these Ivy League losers. And he keeps saying, when I read his Google, it was like, he's a billionaire, he's a billionaire, he's a billionaire. I'm trying to figure out what kind of economics are you? Well, if he's Ivy League, he's Keynesian. But he really doesn't, they don't really understand. The biggest thing I think that they don't get is the dollar has no value. They seem to think the dollar will just keep having value and never go away, and that's not a problem. See, we're 5 steps ahead. That's where we get them, and they don't get it. We've hit the iceberg. We're sinking. There's nothing you can do, and yet they're all missing that. Let's pull this chart out. Okay, at least this Dave guy understands the gold and stuff. I mean, at least he understands there's paper gold versus physical, but he doesn't understand the bullion banks are gone. I mean, COMEX is gone. They're still trying to do a little, but they can't. And there's too much demand for the gold by the central banks, China, India, Russia, who want to buy it, that they're going to make the gold price go up. Actually, this guy yesterday on this Bitcoin to $1 million, he had some stuff to say about gold, which, it's like it's a Bitcoin show. So they keep saying, well, gold's okay, but Bitcoin's better. Now, all right, let's go. Let's kind of clean this up. So this guy's talking about Bitcoin.
There was momentum change. Impact on the broader economy and financial markets seems likely to be contained. So all is well, and we'll keep an eye on the central bankers' sentiment in the weeks and months ahead.
Dave, want to go over that Bitcoin chart before I rudely interrupted you?
Yeah, well, I had it pulled up. I thought you were going to go on a classic Kranzler rant on Bitcoin, but please take it from there.
Well, I mean, you were asking me earlier about, the run up in Bitcoin, and how it was evidence of, rampant speculation and gambling going on in the markets. And to me, this chart is evidence of that. I mean, and if I took that chart further back, that tight correlation that you see up to through 2023. I mean, this is a 2-year chart. If you take it back 5 years, you see the same correlation. I mean, ups and downs. And so to me, it's evidence that Bitcoin is a speculation vehicle, just like tech stocks are. So, and in fact, I'm kind of watching to see what happens with Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin starts selling off on a consistent basis, that means, these tech stocks like NVIDIA are going to sell off. So, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm saving a lot of cash to jump into the short side of the stock market. But one of the things I watch is what goes on in Bitcoin, because that tells me how much rampant speculation is still going on.
Okay, so he's saying, I agree with him on one, I disagree with him on the other. So Bitcoin speculation, as I said, it's a penny stock. It really has no value. If you believe that this thing's worth something, then it has value. If you don't, you don't. I don't see the value. It's not backed by anything. What value can it have? So this is the first problem, right? There is no value in Bitcoin. It's not backed by gold. It's a bunch of guys getting together saying, well, we're going to value it, but that's not how money works. Gold and this crap works because the government allows it to be the medium of exchange. you can't just make a medium of exchange. It's got to be backed by the government, or and somehow the government's got to, with the laws, make it worth something. This is worth something because the government says you have to accept it. So this is the medium of exchange, even though this isn't worth anything. The gold is money. The government does say it's money, but it's worth the gold. So it has a value because that's what it's worth. So gold is money. It's pulled out of the ground. It's actually something physical that you can hold, and it has a value, and you can't print it to death. This is printed to death. This has no value. So he's holding on to money to buy stocks on the down low, when they drop. So if Bitcoin drops and the tech sectors drop, why is there a correlation to that? And then when that drops, I'm going to use this to buy stocks that have dropped only when the market drops, because the foreigners with their $130 trillion start selling their assets to get out of the US dollar. Why would you want to be in stocks? So again, he doesn't understand what's going on. This is the same problem with all these guys. I give him credit for the gold, to a doesn't understand that really the bullion banks are just about out of it. There's not a lot left. They're just about out of it. And we will see. But that's all it is. So I'm not quite sure what he's seeing. But he doesn't really know. He doesn't understand it either. See, I'm probably the only, me and maybe Egon really understand the whole scope, right? The stocks are worthless because all the people are get out of the US dollar because they know that's worthless. That's collapsed. It's worth zero. So if the US dollar is worth zero, all these guys are going to pull their money out of the stock market. Well, if they pull their money out of the stock market, then it collapses. So what do you want to buy on the download? And what does Bitcoin have to do with the tech stocks? Bitcoin's not a tech stock. Bitcoin's nothing. It's not. It's at best a penny stock, highly speculative. Larry Fink, and it's an ETF, which is really a problem. That's not good. That's bad. And so with that said, you've got, here, I'm going to buy it when the stocks drop. You're getting out. We're already out of the market. We are not taking, I'm looking at this as I am not taking this huge risk on stocks when I can take no risk on gold, right? And we just wait for it to go, and it's going to shoot because of all the COMEX stuff. All right, so we know that. Then we get to this idiot, and I don't like this Natalie.
3%, the biggest contribution match of any IRA on the market. Robinhood Gold.
Two sound money assets, gold and Bitcoin, are both at record highs, or very close to. Gold's backing off a bit today, but
okay. So gold, first of all, paper gold, not physical. So he doesn't know that, right? So gold's at a record high. No, it's not. Paper gold's at a record high. Physical gold is nowhere near its record high. We don't even know where that's headed. That's where I'm getting 20, 30,000. That's physical gold. And that's with the brics coming out with the gold-backed currency, which they don't even talk about brics. He's sitting there on Bitcoin. This is a Bitcoin show. This Natalie Brunell, with all his Bitcoin, it's just the Bitcoin show. So you can't really listen to it. Anyway, so again, gold's money, fiat's not, but Bitcoin is nowhere near money. So go ahead.
Gold had been constrained within a range of kind of a $2,100 top, $2,050, $2,100 top, and it broke through that rather decisively in the last couple of weeks. So, I I think the wider world is awakening to the issues that many of us in this area have been talking about for some time, and that is that we have a sovereign debt problem, and that the likelihood is that the solution of the government will be to monetize it, and that goes to the letter I just referred to. So that's kind of the climate we're in, and I kind of see the sky as the limit for both of these assets. I expect they'll be higher in a month, and I expect they'll be much higher in 6 months. So.
Well, I'm actually really glad that you brought up that ISDA letter, because I wanted to break that down for the audience. I don't think enough news outlets are paying attention to it. The other day I Googled what people were saying about it, and it was like barely reported on. It was talking about how it's just some sort of regulatory issue that's going to help stabilize the treasury market. But it is a really big deal, because this is referring to the supplementary leverage ratio, and banks pretty much want U.S. treasuries to be excluded from that. As you mentioned, the last time that happened was in response to the pandemic. We were in the middle of a crisis, right? But now we don't really have an obvious crisis before us, but these U.S. primary dealers are saying, hey, please exclude U.S. treasuries from the SLR. Can you kind of break that down, especially for people who are, not finance experts? What does that mean, and why is it so significant?
Yeah, so the problem that I think the government is going to have as they continue to run these deficits, and as they continue to go into, so let's keep it really simple. 101. The government spends more than it takes in tax revenue. We know that, and it's getting worse. How do they finance that? They finance that by issuing a bond. Okay, the bond gets an interest rate price gets set on that bond, which is a reflection of the supply and demand for those bonds. And if there is no demand, kind of by definition, that means the interest rate price has to get higher, and that higher interest rate price would then lead to more interest expense for the government, which it would kind of lead to what James Lavish has said.
Okay, so what do I say? If there is no market, it's worth zero. What does he mean? They got to raise the interest rate. If there's no demand for the T-bill, you could raise the interest rate to 100%. It's nobody wants it. Nobody's buying the bonds except for the Feds buying their own bonds. But what do you mean you raise the interest rate? What to get? So what's he saying? It's too cheap. If we make the interest rate higher, we'll create demand for the bond. From whom? Nobody's buying it, because we got $35 trillion in debt. Nobody's buying bonds. So I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Spiral or a death doom loop. And so the federal government and the Federal Reserve have a real incentive to try and keep interest rates under control. That's a key piece of what they have to do,
but they can't. They don't control the interest rates. The market does. So again, this is a Keynesian, obviously, and he doesn't understand markets. The market controls. We control everything. You can't keep interest rates down when you have massive inflation. Ain't gonna work that way, because if I want to loan you 10 grand, I want to get paid 12, means I got to charge an interest rate so I make enough money on it. So interest rates aren't going down and inflation's not going down. So again, guys, clueless.
If we went to, we're at, on the 10-year now, we're in the fourth, but we were at 5, and we saw how that created a problem last fall. And so if we went to 5, 6, 7, 8 on the 10-year and higher rates on or similar rates on the shorter durations, the government interest expense would blow out even further, and it's already blown out. It's over $1 trillion a year, up from much less than that 3 or 4 years ago. But and so it would accelerate the funding problem and the financial problem that the government has. And so as a result of all of that, the government and others are looking for ways to find more buyers of those bonds, and because to the degree that they can find a buyer that creates supply or creates demand, which would bring interest rates down, and that's what they want to have happen. They want to have interest rates down.
All right, there's no demand because you have a $35 trillion debt. Who the fuck is going to buy your bonds? Because you're going to worry about getting paid. So you're not going to buy the bond because you're not going to get repaid for it. A bond means I give you money and you give it back to me. Well, if I give you money for the bond, you're not going to get. You got $35 trillion in debt. You're not going to pay me back. So what's he talking about? To lower interest rates. How is that going to lower interest rates? See, again, these guys, they're all Madoffs. They talk Chinese. So nobody understands, what he's talking about. It's going to, we'll get more buyers to lower the interest. How is that going to lower the interest rate? Interest rates are the cost of money. A bond is the interest rate is just, I don't know. It's calculated by the market. And who's going to come running in buying a T-bill to lower the interest rates? What's this guy talking about?
So that their funding costs are lower. The banks can buy these bonds, and often they do, and then they quickly flip them to the Fed or flip them to somebody else, or they can leave them on their balance sheet, but they're somewhat constrained in terms of what they can leave on their balance sheet because of what you referred to, the SLR, the supplementary leverage ratio. And, it's confusing, even to experts like me. It's somewhat confusing how this whole mechanism works because it's kind of tricky monetary plumbing that nobody really pays attention to.
What the fuck is he talking about?
When this ISDA letter came out, those of us who were in the know, Fed Guy 12, Joseph Wang or Luke Roman, or those of us who are watching the Lin, or those who are watching the monetary plumbing very carefully, like, holy shit!
The fuck's he talking
if I'm reading
about?
This
plumbing?
correctly, this means that these banks can buy as many of these bonds as they want, no problem, and they can create the money to do it. And so it's kind of, broadly speaking, it kind of.
Yeah, but if they create money to buy why would they want to buy these bonds? And if they create money, it's all inflation. It's not worth anything. The more they create, the less it's worth. Let's go back to Nazi Germany in the 1920s. Who is this tool? I don't know. He's saying Bitcoin price going to multi-million. So I had to look at and see how stupid this guy is. And he already thinks Bitcoin's money. And I had to, as soon as I heard that. So I just want to go through a few more minutes. He makes some ridiculous comments. But just a little bit more.
QE
I like
infinity.
breaking them down.
Because of the way it's sort of backdoor and subtle. Obviously the Fed right now, if they were to stop QT and announce QE, that would be seen as being massively inflationary. And that would not be a good thing for them. That would not help in their fight against inflation. But if they can get the banks to do their dirty work by changing the regulations that the banks are underneath, hey, that's great. They get to the same place. It's just not called QE. So I think that's kind of my synopsis of what's going on.
Well, and it just means that the banks are taking on even more leverage so that we could go further into debt. And I'm pretty sure that SLR was in place as a result of the financial crisis in 08, 09.
It was definitely there. They left it in place for a time. Mechanism. Yeah, and then they ultimately unwound it. But yes, that's correct. It allows the banks to get more leverage. It allows the banks.
So if the banks, let's follow this through. They're creating more debt. We're already at 35 trillion. We're going to 40. We can't afford that. Nobody wants our bonds. We're bankrupt. So the banks are going to create more money. It's like we're bankrupt now. What are they talking about? It's a good sign for gold, right? Because the dollar has no value. It'll have even less if that's possible. If the banks start printing money versus the Fed starts printing money, what the
There's
fuck?
really a collaboration between the banks and the government to keep this whole scheme going. Mm-hmm. And so, this allows the banks to benefit. And
how do they benefit?
One thing we don't know is we don't know the differential pricing on some of the things. We don't know what. There's my gut is, and this gets really tricky. And Lynn's a better person to ask about this because she's just so much better at the plumbing and the monetary economics. But it's very possible that
monetary economics. I love how they come up with these names.
They'll figure out some way to make this more profitable for the banks because the banks don't do anything unless there's profit involved. So, and we haven't seen that yet, but we will. I think the description of how they're going to do this, I'm guessing this will come out sometime in the next few months, and this letter was a shot over the bow.
When your hotel room is your bedroom, and your living room, and your dining room.
Sometime in the next few months, and this letter was a shot over the bow.
BitDeer, where the power of Bitcoin mining is at your fingertips.
Yeah, some have been abysmal. Yeah.
Yeah, U.S. primary dealers basically have to buy a lot of these T-bills because there isn't enough demand. And meanwhile, they just released this budget proposal, right, for 2025. $7.3 trillion. Biden's administration wants to raise taxes by like $4 trillion. I mean, where are we at here? Can you talk about just how ridiculous all of this is, and the fact that the only thing that will fix it is stopping government spending, but that will initiate, Great Depression 2.0.
Well, that's right. I mean,
No, the only thing that'll fix it is gold. See, but they just don't get it. They don't understand gold. This guy brought it up. He made some comments on it. Let's see if I can find.
And this is why we've often said it's kind of, they're trapped, right? And we know that when they're trapped, that the default condition is always print more money, print or go burr. Yeah, I mean, Biden is talking about trying to tax the rich. The increase in the total budget size is enormous. I mean, I was reading something in the Wall Street Journal this morning talking about how the whole budget was really a fantasy, because a lot of what he's projecting just isn't realistic. I mean, I find it amazing.
He listens to Biden.
Not that great an outcome for the next 5 or 10 years, and they're saying there won't be any recessions in a 10-year window.
Of course
I think that inflation and interest rates are going to go back to 2 or 3%. And I'm like, what planet are these people living on? So, yeah,
Mars.
it's we live in a financial fantasy world, really, that these people have kind of constructed. But there are some free markets. Probably Bitcoin is the freest of all the markets in terms of lack of manipulation. And guess what?
Really,
they get it. I mean, Bitcoiners get it, and people are getting it, and they're saying, okay, if you're going to debase my currency, I'm going to buy a currency that, by definition, cannot be debased above and beyond the programmatic formula.
I'm going to buy a currency that can't be debased. That's gold. That ain't Bitcoin. How is Bitcoin a currency? This is where the guy loses it. It's not a currency. Well, it might be a currency. It ain't a money. It's not money. And where can you use it to buy things? What is he talking about? Go to the grocery store, use Bitcoin. Oh, I can't. Go to a restaurant, use Bitcoin. Oh, I can't. Go to the mall and buy clothes. Oh, I can't. Pay your bills. Oh, I can't. The fuck's this guy talking about? Where does he not understand the definition of money or currency? So he says it, but he doesn't define it. I tell you, the Titanic's sinking, so all the paper is worthless. Stocks, bonds, houses, and all that, banks, and get out of them. He says, well, Bitcoin's money or currency. He doesn't even understand what currency is and how is Bitcoin currency. Bitcoin cannot be currency. Like I said, all Bitcoin is, there's 100 people in the room and they all come up and say, let's use this as money. And what they don't understand is it's only the 100 people in the room that give it value, that can use it amongst themselves. People who aren't in the room, me, you, Bobby, it's not money to us. The government hasn't blessed it and saying, yeah, you can use it at Kroger's. You can't buy a car, a house. Like I said, you can't pay your bills with it. You can't pay your electric bills, your gas. Go to the gas station. You can use Bitcoin. How is it money or even currency? Again, it's only the people in the group that can send it back and forth to each other. So that's where the drug dealers and the Russians, mafia, it's good for the mafia. It's good for the prostitutes. It's good for the drug dealers because they can sell it to each other. So it's only good for the people in the group. Anybody not in Bitcoin, it's not a value to. So all it is these guys buying it, knocking the price up. So what happened is what? Larry Fink and Vanguard and BlackRock joined the group. And the price went up because there was more buying. But they're going to sell it and it'll drop. At what point did it become money outside of the group? So I think that's the best way to explain it. There's 100 people and they all buy Bitcoin, and amongst themselves, it's money and they can use it, but only people in the group can use it and think it's money. But everybody else, I can't go to the grocery store with it, the gas station with it. It isn't money because nobody recognizes it as money, and it's not acceptable or durable or scarce. Really, it's not portable. I mean, you got to go into your account, and portable to me is I got this in my wallet, or I got a credit card or debit card acting as this in my wallet. That's portable. My debit card, my credit card. But how is Bitcoin? Yeah, it's on my computer, but it's not. What is it? So the Ponzi scheme of this. So this guy's Madoff, okay, and then this other guy's Madoff. This guy is the real. This guy's the Madoff here. This Michael Saylor. What a loser this guy is. He's the Madoff. And then this guy's Madoff Jr. So they're running the Ponzi scheme. Oh, it's money because we said it was. So if we say it is, it must be money. Do you know the definition of money? Means everybody must accept it. If I go to the grocery store, I should be able to use Bitcoin, but I can't. How the fuck is it money? They don't understand the definition of money, but they want to call it money, and they even want to call it digital gold. How the fuck is it gold? I mean, that's just ridiculous. So this is the warning I give you is be careful who you listen to, because you don't know the definition of money the way I do, right? It's got to be accepted. You can't go and use it. Nobody accepts it. I can't go to dinner with it. I can't go to the boneyard with it, my barbecue place. I don't even know if I can go to the bank with it. I can't get gas, can't pay my rent, my utilities, because nobody knows what the fuck the price is. You're coming up with this $70,000 price. It's fantasy. Based on what? Based on more people in the room buying more Bitcoin. So you got some rich people now, Fink and BlackRock and Vanguard are now they've joined the room, and now they're buying, pushing the price up. Doesn't make it money. This idiot's saying, don't sell it at 100K. It's going to be multi-million. Well, multi-million what? And as I've said, once the dollar goes out, what's the price? You priced it in dollars. There is no Bitcoin price, right? What's a Bitcoin by me? Nothing. Nobody will take it because nobody knows the value. I will not accept it at Teaserking. Again, I can't go to the grocery store with it. So that's the point of it, right? I can't. It's not accepted, therefore it's not money, therefore it's not a medium of exchange. It will not hold the value. It doesn't store purchasing power because nobody will take it. I can't buy a house with it. As I tell Bobby, we can go buy a $500,000 house with 2 ounces of this, 2 ounces of gold. 2 ounces of gold, we buy the house. People will take the gold. They can touch it and feel it and go, yeah, it's gold. They can check it out and they can weigh it and they can go, yeah, this says 1 ounce of pure gold. It's gold. It's a Cougaran. It's a maple leaf. It's an eagle. Fine, I'll take it. And that's okay. Gold is money because it is accepted. Bitcoin is not, because nobody accepts it. And we don't know what the value is. Gold right now, we see the value of like 2170. Okay, again, that's in dollars. But once the dollar goes away, the value will be in gold. Gold will have a value, right? So the ounce of gold will be worth a house or a car or something. But the ounce of gold will have a value. Unlike Bitcoin doesn't have a value, and you're calling it money doesn't mean it is money. And that's the problem with these Madoffs. I put him in the Madoff category. you're calling it money based on what? It doesn't have, this is the medium of exchange. This is the 6 things that make a medium of exchange. Gold has all of them. This has them, but the is it's not scarce. It's divisible, it's portable, you can put it in your pocket, fungible, the same, you can replace it. It is accepted, and it's fairly durable. Okay, so that fits into the medium of exchange, and so does gold. Gold, the difference is gold's scarce and that isn't. But when these guys talk about that, they don't understand it's already at zero. What the fuck are you talking about? Why would banks want to buy bonds? What the interest rate will be higher, so they get more money for their money that's worthless. This is the problem that I think all these Madoffs are missing. This has no value. This is gone. This is zero. Egon gets it. Mark McGuire gets it. Alligator mostly gets it. When all the Europeans and all the outside of the USers, Hong Kong, China, Singapore, Africa, Asia, once they realize this is worthless, they're going to start pulling their money out, and the stock market crashes. This idiot wants to buy stocks at the time, or the other idiot wants to buy stocks when the stock market goes. The stock market's going to go to, like, maybe not zero, but it's not going to be worth anything. Why would you then buy it at that point? See, we're set up to win, right? We're out of dollars. We're out of the banks. We're out of the stocks. We can't really get hurt. And we're into gold and silver, which is going to go up. It's starting to go up. And as the COMEX is drained to gold and the bullion banks can't short it, the money won't, then they can't go down. So we're near the end of that. And you saw it fly up to 2180. And then they tried to print it down, got to 2150. Then, China and Russia and all the other guys started buying the gold at those prices. So the lowest I think we'll see is 2150, but I would like to get it into the 23s. And then it's the bye-bye blues for those guys. Silver hit 25. I was hoping it'll go to 30, but they're still trying to hold on to it for some reason. I don't know why. But that just shows you. So it's not free market. Now he's talking about free market. And we know gold's not free market because it's tampered with. The invisible hand, which is supposed to be used, which is leave it alone. Keep the government out of it. Keep it a free market. But this is not a free market. That's what we're waiting for. Right now, it's a paper market, and we can't figure out how the fuck is it a paper market when it's a physical coin, right? My gold is physical, not paper. Your derivatives are keeping my gold down. That's not a free market. This is not a free market, right? The only free market we know is this, because I go on eBay and I put it out and somebody buys it. It's a free, the government isn't getting in the way. So that's what the invisible hand is, and that's what a free market is. It's me and you, me and the buyer. I sell it, he buys it, off we go. This is the only free market, but this might be a free market, I think, probably. However, gold is not a free market. I doubt very seriously Bitcoin's a free market. I have a strange pain in my chest for some reason. It's like right here, goes to the ribs. Really, I was like, I had a little pain in my back when I woke up, but I thought it was just a muscle thing. And I went swimming, I was fine. And now I'm like, it's now all of a sudden it's like goes across me. I'm like, what the fuck? Hopefully it's just indigestion or something. But see now, Greg and John, I will take 2 of these to ease it I just ate a salad and a tuna pita, so maybe I need to digest it and it'll feel better, but we'll figure that out. Anyway, Bitcoin is not a free market. Well, it's probably more free than gold. Gold is not a free market. Bitcoin probably is now, but won't be. But again, it's just among the people in the Bitcoin. That's the value. It's people coming in and buying it makes the value. What a Ponzi scheme that is. That's just like Madoff. Well, as long as I can get new investors in, I can pay you. So I keep getting new investors, and I get all of Europe and all of Asia, and now I Ponzi scheme it out. So it was all the people within the Madoff group that made money from Madoff. It wasn't money. I mean, how could Madoff call it money? He's using money to do it, but it was only the people in the Ponzi scheme that were getting rich or poor from it. Got rich at first and then got poor in it. When once we stopped getting the money in, we couldn't pay anybody. But it was only them in the Ponzi scheme that did it. And that's what Bitcoin is. It's the same Ponzi scheme. It's only people within the Ponzi. Here, I'm in Bitcoin that, okay, you're making money, but really, what are you doing? It's only because somebody who jumped into Bitcoin bought. That's how it goes up. And if you're not in the Bitcoin Ponzi scheme, like me and you, me and Bobby and Greg and John, we're not in the Bitcoin, so it doesn't affect us. So this price doesn't, but when it goes to zero, it didn't affect us. We weren't in that little Bitcoin Ponzi scheme. So really, that's the best way to explain it. I love how I just think of these things on the fly, but that's it. So, but how in the world is it money? Nobody knows the value of Bitcoin because it really doesn't have a value. And it's just people in that little circle who are in the Bitcoin world give it value. It's extremely risky because if people start leaving the Bitcoin for gold, it'll go to zero. How the hell? And then once the dollar goes out, how are you going to price it? That's the other thing these Ponzi schemers these Madoffs don't understand. They keep assuming that the dollar is going to be here. It's gone. It's worthless. It isn't going to be here. Only people in the dollar world use the dollar, but as all these countries get out of that game, so think about it. They're all in the Madoff Ponzi scheme, the rest of the whole world. And now they're starting Russia, I'm out. China, I'm out. India, I'm out. All these countries, I'm out. I'm out of the dollar. I'm going to the BRICS currency. So they're playing a different game. They're all out of the dollar. And so therefore, when the dollar collapses, they're out of it. We're playing a game. We can't get out of the dollar because we live in the U.S., but we can get out of the dollar into gold. And then we'll play the gold game, not the dollar game. And that's how we'll survive, because gold can't go out because it's limited and it is real money. So it can't go to zero because there's too much demand for it. People realize that's the only game to play that keeps value. So as you're in euros or dollars or yen or won or Swiss francs or British pounds, you're in your little game, but it's the same game. It's just they're all printing the money for the people in their game, but they're all printing it to zero. So none of the money has value, because the only way the money can have value is to have it go backed by gold. You back your money by gold, it always has value because it's scarce, it's accepted. Everybody will accept it. I don't care what country you're in. They will take it. I don't need to play in the Swiss game, to have value. I can go to Switzerland, meet Egon, here's gold, and I'll get value for it. I can go to Germany, I can go to England, I can go to China and Russia, and I have gold. I can play in their game. I'm invited to all their games with my gold because everybody accepts gold. And that's really the game we're playing. We're not the Madoffs. Everybody else is in a Madoff Ponzi scheme. This guy's just doesn't get it. Oh, when the dollar the dollar's collapsed. It's not when it collapses. And who wants these bonds? You think the banks are going to take the bonds? Why? What is the point of the bank taking the bond? They'll never get paid back. Why would they take it? Well, they get a high interest rate. Big deal. They won't get paid back a high interest rate. So you buy a bond and we're going to give you 10%. So it sounds like that's what they're trying to do, is get the normal person in the bank to buy the bond. And that's what this Ponzi scheme is. The banks will buy the bonds and then make the people, the customers in each of the games. So you're in Wells Fargo, you're in Bank of America, you're in this little game now where you've got to put money towards the bonds. You probably don't even know you're doing it. It's probably just a fee. And that's how they're slowly weeding you out as your money goes to zero. So you must be very careful. All right, let's hear if this idiot had anything else to say.
So, and this is why Bitcoin's at new all-time highs, and I expect it's going to go much higher. So.
You've long been a huge proponent of gold too. Are you shifting your stance a little bit? And are you?
I am. I mean, look, I'm very, and some gold guys are getting mad at me. I'm not down on gold, and I never have been. I'm pivoting, or not pivoting. I'm trending away towards gold just because. Let me make a couple things straight. I think gold is going to do incredibly well in the monetary debasement that's coming, but I think Bitcoin is going to do much better than that. And so, as an investment manager, my job is to earn the top risk-adjusted return for my clients, and I view Bitcoin as a better risk-adjusted return than gold. This far into the game, and now having a lot of the risks in my mind in Bitcoin gone away. I mean, perfect example. One of the biggest risks I think in Bitcoin until the ETFs. Was TradFi looked at it, or most investment pools looked at it and said, how can we invest in, Saylor made this point, how can we invest in something that we think the government might shut down? And, when the government approved the ETFs, I mean, they more or less gave the green light and said, well, we're not going to shut it down, at least not now. There might come a time when, they're in distress and they decide they want to shut it down. That's a whole different discussion. That's a few years out. And so, I think with the endorsement of the ETFs and the recognition that those funds are now going to flow into it, this is no longer just a niche form of sound money. This is mainstream sound money. And
all right, again, I really can't handle this guy. It is not sound money. It is not money. It is not cryptocurrency. It's got nothing to do with money. It's only the players in the Bitcoin that drive the price up or down. The fact it's an ETF, gold's in an ETF. How's that? How did that help gold? It's just a portfolio. So 5 ounces of gold in an ETF produces 50,000 ounces, which controls the price. So here comes the price control on Bitcoin. I mean, that's all that is. How does that help you? So because it's an ETF, that's better. I thought you wanted it to be decentralized, and they talk out of both sides of the mouth. It's decentralized. Now it's an ETF, so now it's not decentralized. And the government will do this and the government will do that. What does that got to do with it? If Bitcoin's supposed to be decentralized, why would you want the government involved at all? Now it makes it good. It still doesn't make it good. It's still only the players who own Bitcoin drive the price up or down. It's just a fucking game. It's just who's on the Bitcoin team. They're the ones who are going to make or lose money. Everybody else is just going to laugh. Because we'll all be in gold, which we know is money. At what point did Bitcoin become money? Oh, it's not accepted. And it's only good for the people in the Bitcoin. So in other words, I'm running a store and I sell clothes and I'm selling this for $50. You've come in, I got Bitcoin. I go, yeah, but I'm not in the Bitcoin club. So I therefore can't accept Bitcoin because I need a wallet and I need all this shit. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to turn my Bitcoin into gold because I got to send it to the bank. What happens when the bank's not there? What happens when the value changes? So how much do I take now that Bitcoin's 70,000, but when Bitcoin goes down to 40,000, I get my ass kicked. So again, it's way too volatile, and it's only for the people playing in the Bitcoin game. So therefore, what are you talking about here, fella? So I just totally don't get it. You're getting away from gold. He likes gold, but he's trending away because Bitcoin's more secure. Well, I know gold's limited. Bitcoin is not. You assume it is because they tell you. But if you're not in the Bitcoin game, you're not in it. It's the same thing with gold. The difference is gold's a real game, and anybody can get in the gold. All you got to do is go to the store and buy an ounce. I'm in the gold world, but not with this guy. So I really. And then to say it's going to 1 million, that's only good for the people playing in the Bitcoin game. So let's say Bitcoin goes to 1 million. Let's just check our gold. And we've got gold going down to 2156. Again, the bullion banks are still trying to short it. And silver is at 2181. So basically, again, the bullion banks doing their best to short it until they're out of it. So it's still, this looks like their bottom, 2150. How much longer are they going to do this? Because they now need to deliver gold at 2156, and silver's holding at 2481. So again, the banks are doing their derivatives, sell. Oh, by the way, you have to deliver. So you're selling gold at 2156, you idiots. So again, a bunch of idiots. All right. So really, that's the best explanation I've come up with, is it's the people who are playing the game. It's whoever bet on the Super Bowl has a stake in Kansas City, San Francisco. And if you didn't if you didn't bet on it, do you really care about it? Well, I want to see Mahomes, but I really didn't bet the game. And I think that's what Bitcoin is. Well, I'm not in Bitcoin. I really don't care what the price is. And you keep trying to convince me to buy Bitcoin, it's really money. Well, it's not money. It's only in the club that they're pushing the price up. And it's a Ponzi scheme in the fact that let's say BlackRock starts selling now because they got 71,000 and they bought it for 60,000. They start taking their money. They start profit taking. What happens to the price? It goes down because it's only the people in the game having value. It doesn't affect me and you if we're not in the game. It doesn't matter what the price is. We're not making money and we're not losing money. And then you get people going, oh shit, I could have bought it at 10 and now it's up to 70,000. Look at all I could have made. All you had to do is get in the game. Buy your Bitcoin, and now you're part of the team Bitcoin. Now, if you thought more people were going to play, then yes, you should have bought it. I looked at it and said, it's not real. It's not money. It's a Ponzi scheme, which is what it is. But everybody wants to make money quickly. So therefore they're going, oh no, it's Bitcoin. Now the ETF guys are buying, helping the price to go up because there's more people joining the club. I'm sitting there going, I don't give a fuck. I'm not getting suckered in paying 70,000 for something and watching it go to 10,000 because it's not backed by anything and there is no real price. If everybody in the club sells it, it's worth zero. What the fuck is that? My gold, It's worth whatever I can sell it for. As the dollar goes out, what's Bitcoin? Goes to zero. What's gold do? Gold goes up. So as the dollar goes out, which we all know it's going to, because nobody wants it. See, as soon as nobody wants it, it's worthless. And right now, they can't sell their bonds. It's pretty much, but they keep the little narrative going, oh, we're okay, and not a problem, no inflation, and that's the dollar not backed by anything. That's their Ponzi scheme. Oh, the dollar's fine. No, it's fine. Well, you just printed like $10 trillion and you got a $35 trillion debt, which you print another trillion every 3 months. How the fuck is it fine? Well, it's the velocity, or it's not in the market yet. It's not in the public. Bullshit. It's in the public. It doesn't have to be printed. It's the debit and the credit card. You go shopping. It's in the system. You don't need. You have the piece of pie you have, right? If you make $100,000, that's all you have. You have $100,000 of this bullshit paper, and that's it. And again, the rich are controlling the game, and the banks control the government, not the other way around. So the banks are controlling the game. How do they make more money? And then they suck you in like Attack on Wall Street. Come on, buy stocks, buy bonds. Oh, the bank will give you 5% if you put your money in. It'll be nice and safe, or an annuity, or a CD. Be nice and safe, and we're going to give you 5% until we get money in. And then they start playing with the real estate trust, and then they start loaning out money out of thin air so you can buy a house and a car. But if your credit's no good or you lose your job, you're fucked. I had good news today. Last night I get an email about my new lease. Now, my lease ends June 1st. I'm thinking it's only May 13th, seems early. And I clicked on it, and there was no loan agreement in there. So I called the office today, and they said, yeah, it probably took a day to get in, right? Because this was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And so I said, well, what did my rent go up? Or what's the new rent price? He said it didn't go up. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm shocked. I thought it was going up for sure with all the BlackRock stuff going on. So that was good news. Is Social Security will probably go up. It did go up, and then my rent didn't. So that's a nice savings also. It'll help pay the credit cards. And most of my credit cards are because of my gold buying. I love it. Anyway, so I think that's the best way to look at it. It's what club are you in? We're forced to be in the dollar club because we live in the U.S. When we travel to Germany or Spain, we then join the Euro club, but it's not any better. And we have to understand that. So what we say is, I want to get out of this club. How do I do it? And it's called an investment. And you can do it by buying stocks. You can buy real estate trusts. You can buy a house. You can buy baseball cards, or you can buy gold and silver. Or you can buy diamonds, I guess, a Rolex, things like that. And that's really what we're doing, is we're getting out of the game, and we're protecting ourselves, because we know that the people running this game can't control themselves, are basically just keep printing and printing and printing, and they don't think the game can end if they keep printing it. And the point is, all the other games played by the rest of the world, the euro, the British pound, and everything, they're into the dollar because the same. But you can see what's happened to their countries. Zimbabwe, huge inflation. Venezuela, Argentina, Sri Lanka, Turkey, Greece, all their games all ended. Their currency went to zero, huge inflation. So the value of their dollars went out. And now we're just waiting for the euro and the dollar and all of these games to end. And we understand it. The game's ending. We need gold and silver. But most people don't understand. They don't see how the game can end. Well, we'll just keep printing dollars. who cares? Or we have a $35 trillion debt. Well, we don't have to pay the other games because they lent us money in our game. So the euro here's $20 trillion of the debt is us buying your bonds. Okay, we want our money back. Well, we don't have any. Sorry. Thanks for playing, but we can't pay you back. And so they pull their money to get it out of our game. God, I love this analogy. And that's really what the key is, right? They're getting it out of their game and they're bringing it back. And we're just thinking the game can't end because we don't want it to end because we're America. We'll just keep printing the dollars. The game will never end. But the other people are going, oh, fuck, I can't. This. It's too much debt. It's not worth anything. And the part of the game is when you print too much, there is no value anymore. So it's like Bitcoin. If you're out of Bitcoin, if you're not in Bitcoin, you're not in the game. It doesn't matter if it goes up or down. You're safe. You're not playing the Bitcoin game. We're playing the gold game. But we know with gold game, you can't print it. It can't go to zero because it's limited and there's always demand because everybody loves gold. It's the way out of the games. So if you look at it like that, it's genius. TK, what you think of all the transactions in the NFL when you're done talking about this? Yeah, I got it open. We'll take a look at it. So this creative, Greg and John, I stumbled on it. I never thought of this theory before, but by talking about Bitcoin led me into if you're in Bitcoin or not. So now it becomes all these little games, right? The Swiss game, the British pound game, the Euro game, the Russian ruble game, the Chinese and the Japanese currency games, and the US game. So now I've developed this from the Bitcoin game going only people in the game. See, the difference in the dollar is we don't control the value, right? We don't buy more dollars. We get paid and then we spend it. Say's law. So ours is economics. Ours is not if somebody else buys Bitcoin in the Bitcoin game, the price goes up. Ours is not like that at all. Theirs is more of like a stock. The only way a stock, you want an Amazon stock, the only way it goes up is somebody has to buy a share. And the more people buy than sell, the price goes up. That's how a stock is. That's why Bitcoin to me is more of a penny stock than it's certainly not a currency because the value is just derived by more people by playing the game. All right. So, all right, Greg and John, talk about your transactions. What do you want to know? NFL investigating Falcons free agent signing for Kirk Cousins. Who gives a fuck? How long does $1 million last after 60? Depends how much you're inflating and if it's gold or not. Desmond Ridder traded to the Cardinals for Joey Bosa staying with the Chargers. I bet he took a pay cut. Lions signing former Bengal defensive tackle DJ Reader. Okay, seems stupid. Ravens re-signed Josh Johnson. Are you fucking kidding me? He's horrible. Why would you re-sign that guy? Oh my God. You got Lamar. You don't need a backup. Falcons signing former 49er return man Ray McLeod. I think he went to Rutgers. Or he went to Michigan State. I don't know. Texans announced Danielle Hunter signing. I don't know who that is. He's got a Minnesota jersey, so I guess he's from Minnesota. Dolphins signing quarterback Kendall Fuller to 2-year, $16 million per report. Fuller will be a solid addition to Miami's defense opposite Jalen Ramsey. Oh, did Jalen Ramsey get better? I don't know who Fuller is or what team he played on. I don't pay attention to those guys. I only worry about the quarterbacks and the receivers. Cowboys reportedly re-signing Jordan Lewis. Him I heard of. Joey Bosa staying with Chargers on a restructured contract. See, that's what I thought, and that's what I think will happen with the other guy, because he was making too much. It was fucking up their salary cap, and so he's now Khalil Mack. They both will restructure, so the salary cap will drop, and they're able to afford more players. But then they just move their contract out, sort of like what Bobby did. Bobby's getting this so much a year as opposed to all lump sum. Unfortunately, Bobby didn't talk to me back then. I would have never put him on this because he's getting paid with inflated dollars. And I keep telling him to talk to the agent, talk to the team, and tell him you want to get paid in gold. Because when the dollar goes to zero, what are they going to owe you, Bobby? They're not going to pay anything. But if you're getting gold, you're going to get something that's worth more, not less. So he's screwed himself by getting. I don't mean to be mean, but who else does this? Nobody else would delay because of the inflation. You're getting weaker dollars as you go. So I'm not sure his contract, if he, if the value goes up, but it's inflated dollars, unfortunately. Now you know me, Bobby. Now you do everything in gold. NFL investigating Eagles, Falcons for free agent signings. Who gives a fuck? Why are they worrying about that shit? Will tight end Hayden Hurst soon sign with Chargers? Well, it depends if they get Brock Bowers. Cardinals trading for Desmond Ridder. Derrick Henry uniform number with Ravens revealed. Who gives a fuck? So Derrick Henry's on Baltimore. Former Lion linebacker plans to sign with Commanders. Oh, boy. Anthony Pittman. Never heard of the guy. Then we've got Jets linebacker C.J. Mosley agreed to a new deal. That's good. He's good. So this is the problem. These guys signed for a lot of money, but the salary cap kills them. Then you get injuries, so you're paying player A $10 million, but he's injured, so you got to replace him. So the replacement gets $10 million, so you're paying $20 million for this cornerback position. And so all the guys you're paying a lot of money to, you then need to renegotiate because you only have a salary cap that you can't pay these guys. So and I would never do a guaranteed money. No way. Bengals nearing deal for defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins. Never heard of him. Dallas has reported signing linebacker Eric Kendricks. I think I've heard of him. Was he on the 49ers? Oh, no, he wasn't. Eric Kendricks is now to sign with Cowboys. I guess he was on San Diego. Okay. Joe Flacco's coming back for another, at age 82, Joe Flacco. Flacco played 5 games with Cleveland, who signed him after Charter. Flacco, let's see. He had 13 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Sorry, that's not worth re-signing for. 39-year-old will now join the Colts because the Colts know Richardson probably gets injured, and the other guy went somewhere else, went to Oakland, I think. Cardinals signing former Bengals offensive tackle Jonah Williams. Who gives a fuck? I mean, none of that means anything. Cardinals released an offensive tackle. We don't really care. Jamison Crowder returning to Commanders on a 1-year deal. Don't know who that. Safety Harrison Smith returning to Vikings. Okay, that I heard of. He's good. Calvin Ridley. I think he did not. I think he went somewhere else. He's not on Jacksonville anymore, I read. Commanders signing Bobby Wagner, who's 75 years old. A 1-year deal worth $8.5 million, $6 million in guarantees. Why is Seattle letting him go? The Jaguars losing Calvin Ridley is such a clean example of asset mismanagement and wasting time. Calvin seems happy with his decision. I think he went to Tennessee. Oh, Calvin Ridley was never considered the best receivers in the league just because he played for Alabama. He was a first-round pick of Atlanta, another Alabama wasted first-round pick. And in his third season, got 9 touchdowns. This is why he went to Jacksonville. He had to play with Trevor Lawrence, and his career went down. Now he's getting another shot to get back on the start track. The Tennessee Titans stuck a 4-year, $92 million deal to bring Ridley. Don't you want a quarterback first? Who's going to throw the ball to him? $50 million in guaranteed money. What a joke. As soon as you do that, the guy doesn't try. Why would he try? The Dolphins' margin for error is now raised. The Dolphins let a lot of defensive players go. The Brian Burns trade says everything about the Panthers roster. I don't know who that is. Titans signing former Steeler quarterback Mason Rudolph. So they got Will Levis and Mason Rudolph and Tannehill. Yeah, the Tennessee's ripe to go, win 4 games? Really? So Pittsburgh signs Russell Wilson, and then Rudolph, who sucks anyway, goes somewhere. Raiders officially released Jimmy Garoppolo and Brian Hoyer. Who's their quarterback? They released Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, Hunter Renfrow, and Jerry Tillery. So the new Oakland quarterback is Hunter Minshew. Is he on Oakland, I think? Interesting. So the Texans land Daniel Hunter. And I think Joe Mixon. And are we supposed to care about that? I guess. Travis Kelce steps out with new girl and fans. So he broke up with the idiot, whatever her name was, Stenson Benson. TK, who you like? Bengals to win it all this year? Well, we got to wait for the draft. I mean, if they can get Brock Bowers to join Chase and T. Higgins and Burrow, yeah, I would say they can win it all. But they need a better defense. They got to get their defense better. The Cowboys made no move. Yeah, they got rid of Pollard, their running back. I thought they picked up a running back, actually. They got rid of Pollard. No, they got that guy from Oakland, didn't they? Didn't the guy from Oakland go to Dallas or you go to Minnesota? I'm very confused right now. All I know is Carolina will be the worst team in the league again. Why would you pay this guy? Daniel Hunter, Texans agreed to a 2-year, $49 million. You're paying a defensive end $25 million per year. What the fuck is wrong with you? That's because they don't have to pay the quarterback. So that's the game going on in the NFL. You draft a quarterback, you play him, but you pay him under that minimum pay because it's the rookie contract. So C.J. Stroud, $5 million a year, and that's why Steve Young. What a waste that is! It's like he's the number one, so he's probably making $10 million a year. The guy's terrible. I mean, he's pathetic, and you're wasting your money with him. That's just like Mitch Trubisky and Thurston Howell. How much is Washington wasting on Thurston Howell III? What did Pittsburgh or Chicago waste on Mitch Trubisky? This is the problem, man. But I thought the Cowboys got rid of Pollard. I'm pretty sure of that. How do you pay a defensive lineman $25 million a year? What are you, out of your mind? What is wrong with these people? So Hunter missed the entire 2020 season due to a neck injury, playing just 7 games in 2021 before being sidelined by a torn patellar. So this guy sounds like a J.J. Watt. He's always injured. He will slide into a Texans front led by reigning NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, Will Anderson, who I don't believe, who recorded, that's bullshit. Just because you went to Alabama, he won it. Or who else was there, right? It's a bunch of nobodies. Houston also added former Tennessee defensive lineman DeArco Autry. Never heard of him. Top 10 remaining free, please. Well, Calvin Ridley's already gone. Mike Williams, San Diego cut him. Dallas, Denver. Who's Denver's quarterback now? You're going to sign Garoppolo? Jaguars closing in on deal for San Francisco's Eric Armstead, who Frisco didn't want. So, here's the problem. He fits on San Francisco. They have a good defense. Is he going to fit in Jacksonville? Probably not. He'll do nothing and just take a paycheck, which is the problem when you pay these guys this kind of money. They don't give a fuck. DJ Reader, who the fuck is that? You're paying these linemen, veteran defensive tackle, to terms with the Lions on a 2-year deal. What are you kidding me? Oh my God. Lions signing former. I saw the Lions gave a contract extension to Dan Campbell and the GM. They're not even 500, first of all. Secondly, they haven't beaten anybody good. I guess the Rams you could call was a good win. And that's about it. I don't call Tampa a good win. They lost to Dallas. They lost to Baltimore. The year before that, every good team they played, they lost. So they haven't beaten anybody, and you want to give these idiots contract extensions for doing nothing. Bryce Young is awful. Yeah, we know that. They got to pay Dak big money. Why? Why do they got to? I would release him. I'd send him back to college. Go back to Mississippi State. You didn't do anything there. And he was a mistake. It was going to be Kellen Moore was going to be the starter, and he broke his ankle, and that's when Dak took over. And he looks, he's like Tony Romo, where he looked good a little bit, but when it got to winning the game, he couldn't do it. I mean, even look at the Detroit game. They should have killed Detroit, right? And they win 20-19 because he doesn't do shit. I mean, they scored 20 points on him. Tampa got 23 on him. Frisco puts up a 34 on him. and you're Dallas needing the game, you put up a 20 on Detroit? Are you kidding me? Totally not prepared. Pollard was a terrible running back. Dak, terrible quarterback. I mean, he just doesn't know what he's doing. And I believe the coach is the problem too. Just like the Lions defensive coordinator is a problem. You could bring in Dick Butkus and Ray Nitschke and Jack Ham and Joe Green. You'd still have problems because your defensive coordinator's got his head up his ass. He doesn't know what he's doing. So keep him around. And you're giving up 30 points a game, right? What, 223s and a 34 in the playoffs. That's not good. What did KC give up? 10 to Baltimore. Lamar, 20-something to Buffalo and 19 to the Niners. Okay, that's the difference. And 7 to Miami, who had a great offense. See, that's – and then 25-22 in overtime with the Niners. And the Lions gave up 34 to the Niners. They couldn't hold. They were losing 24-7, and the Lions couldn't hold them. That's the problem. But KC's up 17-7 with Baltimore. They win 17-10. They didn't. That was it. They just shut them down. That's why I would go. See, I would go after. You know how you go after like Bill Belichick assistants. I would go after Spagnuolo assistants. Say, okay. Come on, you're his head assistant. You're going to run my defense. I want to run the same defense Spagnuolo runs. And that's what I would do. And then I got to get players in that fit it. Everybody's worried about – they signed Jones. Then they're worried about this other cornerback who's really good, who's like free agent. And it's like – he'll fit Spagnuolo's defense. Doesn't mean he's going to fit yours. And that's the problem. Guys, my ribs, what the fuck? It's pain. Anyway. So we will see. I wouldn't pay Dak any money at all. So now you got Boza and Khalil Mack back at San Diego with Harbaugh and the defensive and the Michigan defense. I look for them. It's going to be Kansas City plays San Diego, which is always an over. It's going to be an under. In Oakland, you're not going to find any points in those games. So Barkley's on Philly. Dan Campbell, what a joke that is. Eagles have a backup quarterback problem. They got a starting quarterback problem. Eagles have a backup quarterback. Justin Fields might be the resolute. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure he is. Because he's really good. So we know Flacco's gone. Tennessee. Cowboys reportedly get on outside free agent board. I don't know what that means. Raiders release Garoppolo and Hoyer. So I guess they have Minshew. So I would think Oakland's going to draft the quarterback. What Garoppolo's still doing in the league, he'll be a backup somewhere. He sucks. And then you got Stenson Benson, and you got Hooker, and you got Hayner, and you got Trask just sitting there. Like, you've got 4 quarterbacks that are really good, and then you're bringing in these draft. And then, so what the fuck's wrong with these teams? They're just a bunch of idiots. TK sounds good, brother. You got a great mind. Yeah, I've been doing it my whole life. I'm an analyst, so I analyze. Daria said the same thing to me. She liked this outfit, right? She's going with her friend to the mall, and she sees to pay for it, meaning her. And I said, "How much is it?" And she says 5,000 rubles, which is $50. And so I can get out of the skinny jeans that I wear, and I can wear this, and it'd be nice. And so I send her some money for it. And But she doesn't tell me she buys it. So the next day I said, well, did you buy the outfit? And she says, yes, I bought the outfit. You have such a analytical, she didn't call it analytical. She said, you have such a, well, let's read exactly what she said. She's probably home. She's working at a tent. You're very attentive and caring, is what she said, because I asked her, did you buy the outfit? So I cared enough to send her money for the outfit, as well as, did you buy it? So I'm analyzing. I says, oh, I'm very analytical. I notice everything. That's why it's hard, because I notice. That's why I'm a killer at poker. I notice everything. So if you're doing something out of the ordinary, I catch it right away. That's why I catch the guy looking up at the TV. I'm going, why is he looking up at the TV? And then it says, well, because he's comfortable. He's got to have a full house. I mean, he's got to have a big hand. Or eating the Oreo cookies. Anything that you do out of the ordinary where you're comfortable, because I know when you're bluffing, you're not comfortable. And so if you normally do this and this and this, and you bet and you're this and that, and all of a sudden you're doing this and that, whoa, wait, what's going on? I'm catching all that. And I don't believe they're acting. However, I catch you watching me at poker. I'm going to put a show on for you. I'm going to do things that I don't normally do to throw you off of what the fuck I have. And I get a lot of calls because people think I'm bluffing, and I got a full house, and I know you're watching. So I'm going to be very attentive, as she said. So that's what I do. But that's why I'm so good at football or economic or anything. I'm looking. Most people are not catching what I'm catching with economics, right? I'm understanding the boat. I'm understanding these guys are doing that. The money's going to zero, and you don't want to be in the stock market if it's zero, and you want to get out of all the dollar issues. The banks and Wall Street are all Ponzi schemes. So you want to get out of all those games and into the gold game, because at the end of the day, the only real game is gold. So I'm getting you into that, out of all the crap, which is all Bitcoin will go to zero because the game will stop. Right now, the game goes on and people are too stupid to realize what's really happening. And they think the price will just keep going up. But the only way it goes up is people get in it. So they try to sell it. This sailor and this other guy try to sell it. Oh, it's a currency. It's money. It's this. It's not. It's a fucking game of people in Bitcoin playing the game. And if nobody else enters and people start selling, the price goes down. It has no real value. But I'm smart enough to analyze and figure that out. And most people can't, as you can see. Oh, it'll go to 1 million and I wouldn't sell it. Well, that's because you've got to get all these new people into Bitcoin. But the problem is you only have 21 million of them and you've already spent 17 million. You don't have a lot of room left for people to join your little party. When everybody's joined, how are you going to, nobody else can buy. The price will never go up at that point. They haven't figured that part out yet, huh? Have they? TK, the Raiders got no quarterback, but they have a decent defense. Didn't they get Gardner Minshew? Didn't he go from Indiana to Oakland, I thought? Not that he's a starter, but I thought he went there. I would look for Oakland to they should be able to get these lower picks like Hartman or that, again, they're totally misreading the quarterbacks. It's Bo Nix, Penix, and Daniels are your top three quarterbacks. Then it's Hartman, and then it's Caleb. Nowhere on that list is Drake May, and nowhere on the list is J.J. Walker, the guy from Michigan. Those guys aren't even on the list. They are not anywhere near that. That's the problem. So if these guys go after Drake May and J.J. Walker, they're fucked. It's just going to be like Trubisky and Howell. I mean, look at Howell on Washington. He's terrible. Look at Trubisky. He couldn't even make Pittsburgh's team. He was a high draft pick for Chicago. Look at Daniel Jones. I was against all three of those guys. Listen to my draft. I do a draft video every year. Go listen to it. That one year, I kind of like Baker Mayfield, and I kind of like Josh Rosen, but I warned you about Josh Allen that everybody loved. He had a big arm, and I go, who gives a fuck? If you don't throw it to the right team, it doesn't really matter how big your arm is. So he TK, do you want Trump to win? I'd rather have Putin in charge, to tell you the truth. He's at least a leader. They're actually having elections in Russia now. And the question is why? You know he's going to win, and at least he's having an election. Give him credit for that. I don't know if I want Trump to win. But the problem here is we're basically a communist country right now. The government's dictating. There's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of thought. The money's polluted. It's not worth anything. It's too hard to do a lot of the stuff because there's no freedom. And so therefore, Trump had 4 years. He didn't really clean up shit. He did help with some of these wars, I guess. For that standpoint, I'd like to see this Ukraine war end so I can finally travel to the Ukraine and Russia and see my girls. That would be nice, but I don't know what Trump is. Is he good? I don't know how Biden is the choice. Biden doesn't know what day it is. He's 99 years old. What the fuck is he even? Why isn't there an age limit on the like? Okay, once you hit 75, boys, you're done. You're too old to run a country. I mean, what the fuck is that? So Trump's old. He's 76 or something. I don't know who he is. I know he's got a bad haircut. The only thing I like about him is he married a hot Ukraine girl. So I don't know. I really just scratch my head. Who is he? All I know is you're fired and you're fired and you're fired. I didn't like the guy for that. I didn't like the way he fired the people. I thought that was really rude. But I don't know that he's any good. I really don't. He had 4 years. What did he do? Maybe he's good to stop the war. But outside that, he never stopped the swamp, and he didn't do anything like that. So I really can't say. I didn't really like Trump, and if Biden wasn't there, would you like Trump? Now we're like, we don't want Biden because he's a Nazi. We don't want a Nazi running America, and he's not with the border. I think Trump will fix the border. He can't fix the money unless he comes out with gold-backed currency. He should have got rid of Soros 4 years ago. He didn't get rid of Soros. This whole, great reset, that's just gold going from 2,000 to 10,000. So I don't know. I don't know what he is and what he does. I know he didn't do a whole lot his first time when he was running things, and he could have done a whole lot. He did lower taxes, I guess. I don't know. I think he's better than Biden, but I'd rather have Jim the Anvil Neidhart, I think, or the Hart Foundation. I'd rather have those guys. So I don't know. I was watching the Ric Flair thing again, and it dawned on me. So it's a 30 for 30 on Netflix of Ric Flair. and he doesn't talk about his real parents. So apparently something happened. They don't say, and he's 7 or 8, and these other people are take over for the real parents, I believe. Or maybe they are the real parents, but I thought he was adopted. And that explains a whole lot, because I think what he's doing is he doesn't know who Richard Flair is. So he's trying to figure out who he is. And so he goes to being Ric Flair, and he woos and he wrestles and he has all these girls and all these monies and a Rolex and alligator shoes and all this drinking, because he's confused. He doesn't know who he is, but he likes this Ric Flair character because he gets the girls and the booze and the money. And I don't think he ever could apply to who Richard Flair is. He can't be alone. He can't spend a quiet evening with his wife or with his family, or taking the family to dinner without wooing everybody and buying a ton of drinks and having a party all the time. He can't sit still because he can't be Richard Flair, because he doesn't know who Richard Flair is. Apparently nobody liked Richard Flair, but everybody likes Ric Flair. So why be Richard Flair? And that, I think, is what his problem is. He has a hard time being alone. So if he goes to a bar, he immediately starts buying drinks and looking for pretty girls and wooing everybody. So that's, I think, the problem of Ric Flair is it'd be like if I was the professor or the teaser king and not Howard. I can separate it. I know Howard is a part of the professor or the teaser king or whatever. It's still me being these other parts of my personality. I can be the professor, and I kind of like that. I can help people and I can be smart enough, but that's still Howard. I'm myself, right? Even though I'm doing a professor. Sort of like Money Heist. The professor was Sergio, but he was still he wasn't somebody else. I'm not anybody else. I'm still me. But he can't do that. He couldn't be the teaser king, and then he'd start acting differently. But he liked being the teaser king because he had friends that he didn't have as Howard. So he's got a multiple personality. So there's Richard Flair, who's a loner, who's a loser, doesn't have any friends. And then there's Ric Flair, the wrestler, who woos everybody. And he is everybody likes, and he's friendly. And that's why when he retired, he cried, because he was like, well, now what do I do? I'm lost being Richard Flair. I like being Ric Flair because that's me. He even says it. He says, I was acting. I was being Ric Flair, the character. And I think that's what happens. So people get lost up in their dual identity, Wayne. And he didn't like who Richard Flair was, his real person. He never got, or the parents. Again, I don't know if they were his real parents or he was or he was adopted. I don't remember, but he didn't fit. Basically, the parents he grew up with didn't like wrestling, didn't like football. So you can tell, had they had a baby, he would have been one of these math people, and not Ric Flair, the wrestler. So the parents must have been wild and athletic type of people. And then, I don't know, they got whatever happened, he became an orphan. And then, so he's like Harry Potter and Batman. And then he turns into Ric Flair, who he likes. But I thought it was interesting. Sometimes you watch things twice, you get different perspectives. But so he couldn't retire because that means you can't be Ric Flair anymore. And he's like, but I got to be Ric Flair because that's who I am. I'm not, that's me. It's not a character. Like Hogan's a character. He's Terry Bollea, and that's into Hogan. And you'll see it too. Like sometimes there'd be like something like Hogan behind the scenes or Hogan at home, and he'd be Terry, and then somebody will want to see Hogan. He says, "Just give me a minute, I got to get into character," and he'd kind of do his thing to go into Hulk. But as Terry, he was very reserved, and then he had to get the energy up to be Hulk. And like the Undertaker was like that. He had to be. He never got out of character because I don't think he knew how to get in and out of the character. So he was always the Undertaker. And again, I think these guys like the new characters they create. They're popular. The fans love them. They make a lot of money. So I think the first person's probably nobody. Nobody likes them. So they just, that's where they are. And then this persona, that's what it is. So I don't know if it's all the actors, all these porn stars or girl actors, if they become the porn star or if they understand it's a role. Hard to say that, but I know one porn star, and she's herself. She's not really the character. Yeah, I met her in Vegas, and she's told me her real name and about that. And she was really laid, down to earth type of person. So anyway, so that's what happens. I think most people keep themselves, and then they act a little bit when they do it. I know. Yeah, I think that's the way it is. They kind of do that. But anyway, that's Ric Flair. He likes to woo. He likes the attention. He likes to be popular because in his real world, he's not. So that's what's good about him. Let's see where our gold is at this point. You watch Raiders release Jimmy Garoppolo. Ain't nobody picking him up. He's always injured anyway. I don't really see it. Here we go. Gold back up to 2163. So it was down to 2157, and now it's 2163. Down 12, but we don't care. It's still above 2150. And silver's 2484, down 21, but it's up from where it was, which is good. Anyway, so I've been getting a few calls for positions, financial analysts, but I really don't want to work at the restaurant or a grocery store making $10, $15 an hour. That's only if I have to, but I do not want to. So I want to get these financial jobs at $45 an hour instead of $15 an hour, right? And they're easy, and it's not a problem. So I got a few more calls just to hear from me, to submit me, and then you're still waiting. But at least there's some activity. TK, gold and silver are moving up by a little. Well, keep in mind what's the game. So the game of gold and silver is they're paper. They're not physical, right? We're waiting for a physical price on gold and silver, which is the price I quote. Gold at 20,000 is a physical price, not a paper one. Silver at 2,000 is based on gold going to 20 and 10 to 1, and it's physical. So paper price will go out because once the Chinese and Russians and the BRICS come out with a gold-backed currency, they'll have to reset the gold price much, much higher. They are coming out with the currency because they don't want to play the game of the U.S. God, I love that analogy. So the U.S. told Russia when the war started, you can't play the game anymore. We are sanctioning you. You can't be in US dollars. So the Russians are coming out with a gold-backed currency and saying, fuck you, that's fine. We'll play our own game. And China's joined, and now all the BRICS people are going to join, and they're all getting into the game, into the BRICS game, which will be backed by gold, because they know the only way to play the game is with gold, because then everybody will join and nobody can fuck around with it as they can in Bitcoin, where it really has no value. Only way it gets value is when people join the game. And when gold goes up, believe me, you're selling your Bitcoin to buy gold, because you realize gold's real money and Bitcoin's not. Enjoy it, TK. I have no gold. Well, buy it. I mean, you don't have to buy an ounce. You can buy a tenth of an ounce. I showed you mine. I bought a tenth of an ounce for $220. So I'll show you. So this is a tenth of an ounce kangaroo, Australian, and I bought it for $220. So if you don't have $220, Greg or John, to buy gold, you could buy the silver at $25 an ounce. And if you don't have $25, then I don't know what you've got to get a skill and make money. Then we got to go back to zero, where you got to determine a skill set that pays you and do it. But if you don't have any money, then you can't. But to buy this gold for $220, it's already worth $300. I already made $80 on it in a week, but this is $220. I made $80 on it when I bought it, because he shouldn't have had it at $220. It should have been at least $275, $250, like the US and the Canadian. And this is proof, because it's still in the plastic. So that's my point. You don't have to buy an ounce to own gold and silver. So here are the ounces. So see all the different sizes. There's ounces here on the bottom, and then these are quarter ounces. I think that's an ounce, kind of maple leaf, and these are tenth of an ounces, and I don't know what these are. So you don't need to buy an ounce. You don't need to buy 20,000, a $2,000 one. You can buy less, but buy gold, because at the end of the day, when it goes up, even the quarter ounce that I spent $220 on, when gold hits 20,000, a tenth of an ounce will be 2,000. I paid $220 for it. So that's my point. And but you got to understand, it's going from paper to physical, and it's going to be much higher, because this is a paper price now. So you got to understand the difference. So I would buy gold, or at least buy silver, Greg or John. I don't know why do you not have any money? It's not my business. I can only guide you, assuming you have some money. But if you don't have $25 to your name to buy silver, you got a lot of bigger problems to worry about, because you're going to get killed in the how do you eat, right? How do you live with no money? That doesn't make sense. So I will. It's not really an enjoyment. It's money. It's business. I need to get out of this game, and the only way to get out of this game is to go buy gold and silver, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a game to play. Bitcoin only works if more people join the game, and if people don't join the game, prices drop. And you watch what happens when Bitcoin and these other guys leave the game. Tesla did it, and he started pricing his cars in it, and then he realized I can't, and he got out of the game. So I don't know how long BlackRock and these others are going to stay in the game. I doubt very long. But yeah, so you don't have any money at all, Greg and John? I mean, come on, really? I don't believe that, but whatever. If you don't, you don't. But anyway, so understand that the gold game is fixed for the people who are in it. They don't let the game play. So by keeping the price down, they keep people out of the game. I don't want to play Bitcoin, a gold game, because the price doesn't move. I'll go play Bitcoin game because look, it's up to 70,000. But I don't want to play gold. It's only at 2,000 or 2,500. So I don't want to play the gold game. Well, it's paper gold and it's being kept down on purpose. Not Bitcoin is not being kept down on purpose. If you allowed gold to go and you allowed a physical price, now is that going to happen? Is your question? And I say, yeah. Once brics gets into it, then you will see a physical price. You will see this Basel III and then the COMEX breaking up because they need physical gold and they just don't have it. And all these central banks and everybody else buying gold. So the demand for gold is far out exceeding what COMEX has. So there'll be more people playing the gold game. There's banks playing the gold game. I don't know too many banks playing the Bitcoin game. So anyway, that's a Ponzi scheme. If people get into it, it goes up. If they don't, it comes down. It's the same thing that Madoff did. If I get more people in, I can pay out people. And if I don't get money in, then I got to close up. And that's what happened, right? He wasn't getting anybody in. He went out and the Ponzi scheme ended. So everything's a Ponzi scheme because Bitcoin relies on people coming in. And the dollar, you've let too many people in, and you've printed too much money for the game. So you got to realize that. Anyway, so I love that analogy. Sometimes I'm so clever, I scare myself. What a beautiful analogy. So join the game you want to join. But the best game to play is gold game, not the Bitcoin game, and certainly not the dollar game, which includes the stocks and the bonds and the banks. They're all stocks are only good if somebody else joins the game. So if I buy Amazon, it can only go up if somebody else joins the game and buys more shares. So if nobody joins the game to buy more shares, the shares can't go up. So the shares go up because this is where to go. I'm going to make, then the greed factor comes in. I'm going to make money. I got to buy Alphabet or Amazon or Apple. That's where I'm going to make money. Not in the rest of them. All the other stocks are doing crap. So if I try to tell you to get out of the stock game, do you listen? It's part of the Titanic. Is all the paper, and the people on the other side of the world who aren't in the U.S., who are in the U.S. game, who aren't U.S., are going to start pulling their money out because they're going to realize, God, right here. So they're going to start pulling their money out because they're going to realize, oops, this doesn't have any value. And that's going to happen to Bitcoin. Is eventually nobody new will come in and people will, BlackRock's going to pull a ton of Bitcoin, right? And when he pulls a ton, that price is zoomed down. So you can't control that in Bitcoin. You can't control if the guy leaves, the price goes down. In gold, if the guy comes or goes, doesn't really matter. So anyway, that's the thing. So we will see about all this free agency. It's all bullshit. Really, it helps San Diego. They renegotiated with Mack and Bosa, and you got Harbaugh coming. Okay. Dallas got rid of Pollard, but they got to sign somebody. Oakland dumped their quarterback. They need a quarterback. Pittsburgh did well getting Russell Wilson. I really don't know what's wrong with him. He had a pretty good year stat-wise, so I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson, but to me, he's a great quarterback. So here's a problem. If you got Russell Wilson rookie cards and you're going, oh, you won a Super Bowl and you got to the second Super Bowl and this and this and this, and then all of a sudden now this happens, does it ruin the value of his card? And that's what you're always worried about. So we got Mahomes. Well, he's won 3 Super Bowls and nothing going to affect his card. Joe Burrow, well, he's gotten hurt, but he's a superstar, so he needs a Super Bowl. It hurts Marino, and Dan Fouts would be higher valued if they won Super Bowls. And that's what you look at. So Lamar, he won't have any value because he will never win a Super Bowl. So I don't know. They got Derrick Henry for him, but he won't know because he can't pass. So what's he going to do? Give the ball to Henry, or what? Or he's going to keep it himself. I mean, it's funny. Anyway, I think that's about it. I got to figure out what's going on with my ribs and my back. It's all tight. I think I need to take a pill and lay down or something. This is I can breathe, and I coughed. I was a little worried if I could cough, but it seemed to be okay. So I don't know what this is. I ate before, so I wonder if this is digestion or something. But it just started. It was fine when I woke up. I was fine at the pool. I had a little thing in my back, but nothing major. But sometimes I take a pill, I take a nap, I wake up, and everything's fine. So I'm like the Hulkster. I can hang and I can bang. All right. So anything else? Questions, comments? You're broke. Okay, Greg and John, I'll give you 5 minutes. Why are you broke? Talk to me. What happened? Do you have a job? Let's go in reverse. Do you have a job? Do you have a way of making money? Is your debt really high? Do you have big credit card debt, big mortgage, car payments, causing you not to have money? So you have to, if you're in debt, you have to get out. If you're not working, then go try to get back to work. If you are working, then you've got to budget your paycheck better. So I don't know. All I can see is you're broke, but I don't know. Do you not have any money? Do you not have a 401k or savings or anybody in your family you could borrow a couple thousand and buy gold with and pay them back in a double? But anyway, so the best way I would recommend is, why are you broke? Is it credit card? Is it whatever? You lost your job. So are you getting revenue in? And if you are, then you got to budget it if you can. If it's debt, if it's credit card debt, then you got to pay that off. If it's like the gambler, I was watching that one yesterday with James Caan, and he loses $44,000 in the beginning at some makeshift casino in New York, not a real casino. And the question you have is, why did they let him lose 44 grand? I mean, how does he even get to 44 grand? This is the problem with the movie. If I go to MGM downtown and I take out, I don't have 44 grand to play, much less to lose. How can he lose 44 grand? He doesn't have 44 grand to play. So how the fuck how do you lose it? It's credit and you just let him go to 44 grand? Really? That's what happened? I mean, come on. So it's, and then now he's down 44 grand, and then he borrows it from his mother. Doesn't borrow it, he takes it. She gives it to him to get out of trouble. Then he goes to Vegas and he wins 90 and then loses it in basketball betting. And then at the end, he's a college teacher, and there's a star in his classroom who he's buddies with, and you can win by 7 and no more, and the guy fixes the games. and that's how he pays off the debt. Which I think if he knew that in the beginning, he would have done that. But it was beautiful in Vegas. I've shown you that before, but the problem was he kept quitting on a streak. He's 13 passes in a row, craps, he quits. He hits back rack 4 or 5 hands in a row, he quits. Blackjack, he doubles down on an 18, hits the 3, he quits. Roulette, he hits a number and wins 12 grand and quit. Like, what do you do? You're finally getting the streak you wanted, that you lost all your money on the losing streak that you never stopped. And here you got the winning streak, and then you keep quitting. And it was just, it was very strange as a gambler. He says, well, I like the action. I do it for the action, but I could win. If I wanted to, I could have won everything, but I don't want the safe bet. I like the action, he said. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But he's good. He's a good actor. He wasn't that good in The Godfather from where he should have been. He should have had a bigger role, and he shouldn't have been killed in the first one and then not in the other 2. You needed him in all 3. That's why the third one sucked. The second one wasn't, and then it was too much Michael. See, the first one was the best because it had Tom, and it had him, and it had Michael, and it had the Don. And then in the second one, you didn't have the Don, and you didn't have Sonny. It was mostly just Michael, and you're like, I don't want to see Michael. I like to see you really like to see whatchamacallit, the Don. I can't think of his real name. Marlon Brando. You really wanted Marlon Brando was the star of the movie, and not to have him in the second movie is stupid. And too much Al Pacino then. The second one was weak, and the third one was just pathetic. That was such a stupid storyline and such a stupid movie. Yeah, let's get in bed with the Pope. Yeah, they helped the Nazis. Yeah, they'll be good. Well, see, that's where you needed Sonny. You needed James Caan. You needed Tom and, Luca Brasi and Clemenza. That as soon as you lost the cast, you lose. But then it's a different movie, and who cares? That's what inevitably happens. They don't re-sign the cast, and then it just isn't the same. I mean, it's not good. I was watching Berlin, and where's Professor in Tokyo? And you're sitting there going, who are these people? You had to get used to these new people. And you're thinking, just bring in Tokyo and Nairobi and our guys. And Professor, what are you doing? Why don't you bring these people in? They should be in the thing. So that's a whole new thing, and you're like, I don't give a shit, because you like the other characters. Anyway, that's the bottom line. So Gregor John's broke. We asked why, we don't get an answer. If you're going to say it, you got to answer it, Greg John. I don't ask, are you broke or not? But if you're going to bring it to the class, you should ascertain what happened. Anyway, so Bobby Ball, have a good day. Luke, Nick, I think I'm going to take a break, have some dinner, and then see what's going on with my chest and my back. I feel okay. Again, I don't worry. I don't have a fever, and I'm not throwing up. So that's always, is there a problem? But it's real tight right in here for some reason. Just happened. So anyway, we'll figure that out. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. We will leave you with our gold. Silver 24.81, down 24. Gold 21.62, down 13 for the day, but really started to go down at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And then from there, it nosedived at 21.54 at 11, and then went back up after that to 2162. So as long as it's there, we just need it to get over 2200 again. It's the same derivative bullshit that we thought was going away. Maybe Mark McGuire can inform us, but that's all that's happening. So hopefully we'll see the end of that shit. Anyway, have a nice day. www.teaserking.com. I think I hit everything. I got to change the title to, what did I call everything? Games. Right? They're games, I think. All right. Have a good day, everybody.